Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining from. Thank you all for being here. As always, gonna do some fun stuff today, I think. But first, quick summary of the setup I have here, because things are just a little bit different, like always. Nothing too drastic today, but I do have a old new thing back. So I am actually streaming from the Web Presenter HD, not the new one, not the brand new one, not the 4K, just 1081 that I had on loan from Blackmagic from a while ago. I had been having some problems with it, so I sent it back, and they finally sent it back. They couldn't find anything wrong with it, so I'm giving it another shot. We're gonna see what's going on. It is sitting here. I have not painted it white because they probably wouldn't appreciate that. So it's just over here sitting on this little riser, and it is doing the work of all of the encoding today. So I don't expect to have any problems with it. I didn't have any problems with it in terms of when it was actually doing its job fine, but the problem I did have was like after a couple of days of being on, the IP address was lost. So it also could be my own switch's fault. Like it could be my own network problems. It may not have anything to do with the Web Presenter at all because they were not able to reproduce it. So we will find out. I did plug it in yesterday and it was on all night, and I came here and it was fine. So crossing my fingers that it's just going to work. Who knows what was going on. So yeah, who have we got in the chat? I see a lot of familiar faces and a couple of good questions coming in already. Yeah, that was the issues I was having. Not consistent, and it was not easy to reproduce it. So we'll see. A couple other questions. Let's see. Can you do a quick run through of how you switch inputs on your 20x20 matrix with software? Sure. So there are two ways I do this. One is with the official Blackmagic software control thing, or video hub control is what they call it. So it looks like this, and it gives you your 20 sources and your 20 destinations, inputs and outputs, and you can, the labels are the text labels are set in the device, so you have to go into the setup. Do I have that running? There's a separate app, of course, because everything has to be in two places. This app is the one that is configuring the actual hardware, where these labels get written into the hardware. I should change this one because this is actually the Web Presenter HD right now. And that gets saved into the hardware. And then this is the sort of control interface that you can send commands to the hardware. So the labels, you can see how that just updated when I change it in the hardware. This loads what's in the device and then gives you these buttons. The icons of this, however, are part of this app, which is confusing. So they're not written to the hardware, which means if I run this on a different computer, I don't see the icons. So the icons are just informational. You can configure them to whatever you want. So I can go, for example, edit buttons and edit this one and change it to, for example, I don't want the camera icon. I want it to be something that looks like a web presenter. These icons are very old. They are definitely in a certain style, and I feel like they show their age. And there's a lot of things that they don't have. So what can I use for the web presenter? Maybe I'll use this, a little box with SDI ports. Okay, so now it's just a little bit better of a clue to go and look at these. So to change what's going to what, let me see. What can I change where I'm not gonna hurt anything? Okay, I don't care about what's going into this one right now. So this is a H.264 encoder that I use for sometimes my 3D printer stream, or if I'm streaming, whatever. It's just like a hardware encoder that's in the rack somewhere. So you click on that, you say, okay, I'm gonna change what is sending to this. Oh, I have to get out of my edit mode first. There we go, okay. So I choose that, and when I click destination, it's showing me what input is being sent to that. And if I wanna change what input is being sent to it, I can just click on another one. So this is kind of the same way the buttons work on the device, and it feels backwards at first. Like, I feel like I would want to say, send this input to this output, and that doesn't work. You have to say, I'm choosing this output, and then I'm going to send that input to it. So that makes sense. This is my this is my little 7-inch monitor up on top of the desk, which is right now showing me the output of the second HDMI port, which is the same one that the web presenter is getting, which is actually doing the stream. So I'm not going to change those. But I can say, okay, that one I want to now be this computer. And now it's done the routing internally. And if you look at the, if you actually look at the desk here, I can do it with one of the monitors. So this monitor, I don't really care what's on it right now. So here's my, here is my Smart View right, is that one. And you can see it's got computer 2. And then I can change it to be the main camera. And then it changes. Or I can change it to be program output. Or I can change it to be my multi-view. So you always choose the destination, and then you choose what source is routing to it. Did you find out where the icons are located? Maybe it's easy to create your own. I haven't looked. That's an interesting idea. So you can send one input to X number of outputs. Yes, you can. You totally can. It doesn't care how many are going to each output. So you can say, like, you can probably actually see some of mine. I've got my multi-view right now is going to this one. It's going to the actual, that is my actual left monitor, which is this one. It's also going over to the teleprompter at the desk. And that's it. Yeah, so the ATEM Extreme 1 output is going to 3 different destinations right now. So you can see as I click these, the source up here isn't changing because it's all the same, pulling from the same source. And relatedly, what method are you using to send program to web presenter, SDI, or one of the webcams out of the Extreme? Wait, you can't, I thought the web presenter was a webcam. I don't think it accepts webcams. Yeah, it only accepts SDI in. So I have it set to one of the outputs in the matrix so that I'm actually sending it the, oh, thanks for the super chat. So I am sending the HDMI 2 from the ATEM Extreme. It's going into the SDI matrix, and then that's sending it to the web presenter, as well as the little monitor up on my desk. So I can see what, no, sorry, the web presenter is going to the monitor. HDMI 2, what is HDMI 2 going to? ATEM Extreme 2 is going to Smart View left. Okay, so that's my little monitor over here, and then I don't see, yeah, it's just this one, which I should also label that because that's not the USB capture card right now. So I'm going to go fix my output label of 7, which is actually web presenter HD. So my web presenter HD is getting ATEM Extreme 2. I can see ATEM Extreme 2 on this monitor here, so I can always see what I'm sending to the web presenter. And then this one, I guess that's my multi-view now, which is redundant. So let's see, what can I make that one instead? I'll make it the web presenter output. So I can go back up here. Where is it? Here it is. So now I've got my web presenter status here, as well as, you can't see it's up, but it's up on this one too. This might be a little bit easier for me to keep an eye on. Although because these screens are not 1080, the text is really hard to read. It's all pixely and ugly because it's scaling it down to whatever 800 by 480. The monitor up here is the 7-inch Blackmagic, so that is nice. Very nice. Okay, cool. That was a good question. Thanks for that. Okay, a couple other follow-ups from this, it looks like. I'm going to see if there's any other questions about the web presenter before we move on. Yeah, it says webcam out. Yep, not webcam in. That would be an interesting trick. When planning to use the ATEM to web presenter 4K, what Blackmagic HDMI to SDI converter is needed? So, okay, so that was one of the things they talked about in the announcement, is that the web presenter 4K will do upscaling itself, which means you can feed it a 1080 signal, which is cool. That's super, super great, which means you can use the cheapest possible HDMI to SDI converter, which is like $45. That's the just generic Blackmagic mini converter thing, and that will work into sending a 1080 signal into the web presenter 4K. The web presenter 4K will upscale it to 4K. So that is how to do that. Is your router 6G or 12G? I don't think it's 12G. Let me double check. It is the Smart Video Hub 12 by 12, no, 20 by 20, which is the 20 by 20. So it is 6G. Yeah. I did not go with the, yeah, they only have 12G at the 40, which is very expensive. But it is sure tempting because this thing is fun. Okay, any other questions about the Matrix or the web presenter? Nope, nope, nope. Great. Okay. So, Roland says, do you think that the announced upcoming software update for the new HyperDecks will allow them to play video files which have different encoding parameters? They did explicitly mention that the H.264 playback will eventually be able to play back things recorded or encoded on computers, not just on the HyperDeck. So not necessarily every format under the sun, but specifically for H.264, it will not need to be encoded on the HyperDeck for it to be playable, which is great because the only way to get things from a computer to the HyperDecks right now is in ProRes, which is fine for animations and short clips and stuff, but for long 2-hour video playback that you're doing, those files add up to large sizes very quickly. So that is good news. Thanks. Thanks, Pat. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see what else we can get to before I jump into the main thing I want to cover today. It looks like we have another question here. For the new HyperDeck Mini Plus, to use the 2 SDI alpha outs with the ATEM Mini Extreme switcher, which Blackmagic SDI to HDMI converters do I need, powered or unpowered? I didn't think they had any unpowered converters. So if you want to get, let's see if I can go actually show you the product pages here. So where are they? HyperDecks. I don't recognize that icon now because they changed it all up. HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. That is the one that I have pre-ordered. That one, if we go look at the pictures, this one has the 2 SDI outputs on the back. The HDMI will only be the main graphics. So you need 2 SDI to HDMI converters. And again, you can use the cheapest ones for those. So if you go to the broadcast converters section, oh, thanks for the super chat. I missed that out of the corner of my eye. Thank you for all your invaluable help with live production. 90% of what I'm doing in every Sunday morning I learn from your live streams. That means a lot. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Okay. SDI to HDMI, 3G, $49. I don't know why it's $4 more than the other one. This will work. So you need 2 of these. They're powered via USB-C. So not too hard to get power into those. Interestingly, they don't have a dual converter, which seems like they should add that because that would be very useful for people doing this stuff. Because there's a lot of cases where you want to just send 2 SDIs to 2 HDMIs. That would be cool. Maybe we'll see that soon. I don't know. It feels like that would be a good opportunity just to have one power supply powering both things. Because right now you do have to run 2 power cords to both of these. And those ones, I have a handful of those as well. And those single converters, the ones that are just the one SDI in, one SDI out, or vice versa, those have been solid for me. I have not had any trouble with those. I have had some trouble with the dual versions, which are the ones that have frustrated me because of the bidirectional ones, because the auto switching modes, which is annoying. And I've talked about that a couple times, I think. I'm trying to find a link to the SDI to HDMI. I'm trying to find a link to those. HDMI, SDI, SDI to 8. Oh, they're 3G. Maybe I need to add that to the search. Okay, here we go. Here's one. Anyway. Yeah, these things are great. I have a pile of them in the back of the desk here. So behind this thing, there's just like stacks of them. And some of the dual ones, but I use the dual ones mostly in single mode at this point because of all the issues, which is a little bit silly. Okay, where is this link? There we go. And I did this in the wrong order again, so sorry about that. Blackmagic SDI to HDMI converter 30G. And if you're clicking on that from having just clicked that link in the search, then you're gonna have to scroll back to look at that segment. What? Okay, let's see. Other questions about this. If you have a question for me, make sure you mention my name or the word question, because the chat gets a little bit busy with people chatting, which is fine, but it means it's hard for me to find people actually talking to me. So do mention question or my name at the beginning. You've mentioned your rack in the other room. Can we see it? I don't have a way to do that right now. Unfortunately, I left my little wireless camera at home today, so I don't have a way to go over there. It is a server rack in a closet. It is not pretty. We'll just say that. So you still stand by decimators being your choice for the bidirectional? At the moment, yeah, I would buy the decimator bidirectional over the Blackmagic right now because of the auto switching issues. And I have one of the bidirectional, here, I'm grabbing this links before I talk too much about it. Decimator bidirectional HDMI SDI. So yeah, this decimator bidirectional, I have one of them that I bought ages ago and didn't really think much about it. I was just using it for random things. And then when I went to go stock up on these converters for this setup, I went and got Blackmagic ones thinking, well, of course, I'm going to get Blackmagic ones because I've got a Blackmagic Video Hub and I've got a Blackmagic ATEM Mini. And then I realized that they have the auto switching problem, and now I'm sad. So I would recommend getting the decimator ones until Blackmagic fixes the issue with the auto switching mode, which I'm still holding out hope they can do in a firmware update on that device, because I don't want my pile of them to be just in single directional direction mode. Yeah, a dual or quad SDI with external power would be great. Decimator has some things like that. They do add up fast because they tend to do like the big stuff. So like, I know I've seen a couple of multi converter things on their site where they have, okay, these are the mini converters. So these are all like, this is not quite right. There's the, where is it? It is, that's weird. Is it in this page? No, those are really old. Weird. Maybe they're in, maybe I'm thinking of something else. See, I thought that some of these large ones, I thought these had multiple converters in them, but I could just be remembering wrong. Yeah. Can't find it. I thought they had something that had at least 4 converters in it, but it's, yeah, those aren't cheap. I would love to just see a dual one, frankly. Here's an interesting question. Do you have more than one display link going from your M1 Mini? Do you find that the label numbers for them are off? I have 2, because the M1 Mini only supports 2 displays, which is so silly. But I have 2, that was the wrong window. Where's displays? So yeah, my numbers are off. So I have the, I have Blackmagic 1 for some reason is the second monitor, and this one is called Blackmagic 2. Both of these are plugged into the SDI matrix. So this main monitor is the HDMI port on the M1 Mac Mini, and this one is an Apple dongle connected out the back over the Thunderbolt. And both run into the matrix, so I can route computer screens to anywhere in the room as well. I don't know why they just numbered them randomly. I think I saw what you're looking for in the last page you looked at. It was kind of in the middle. Well, too bad. I will just trust that it's there somewhere. Here we go. Decimator Demon 4S 4 SDI to HDMI converter with quad multi-view. Okay, it is one of the multi-viewers that also has a mode. There we go. So it is 4S. No, there's not enough HDMI ports on that for it to be a 4 converter. None of these are big enough to have multiple HDMI ports on them, except these huge ones. This is okay. Oh wait, no, yep. 4 HDMI outs, 4 SDI ins, and then you can switch up all the modes. That's right. Okay, great. This is the one. 4 independent SDI to HDMI converters. Great. There we go. So this is the one. And $500. So that's $125 each converter. So it is more expensive than buying 4 of the $49 converters, but it is only 1 power supply. So that is something to think about. And then it has all the other modes if you're using it for multi-viewer and stuff. Cool. Thank you for finding that. Scott says, sorry if this has already been asked, but what is your take on the new Blackmagic HyperDeck Mini models? I mentioned it briefly in the summary video that I published with all the other folks. Summary is, I think it's great. I think it's a solid lineup of new products, and I think they're all very good options. So it really just comes down to what do you need? And for me, I went with this HD Plus because I do want to be able to do the dual key and fill output over SDI. But if you don't need that, then this new mini one is also great, assuming you don't need any 4K. So this, I think, I do like that they have that mini model, which is now cheaper than it used to be, that only does HD and does not do dual key fill because it can be cheaper that way, and it is still solid for playback and recording. So I think that is a great option, and I am also excited about the HD Plus. So I'm gonna get that one in. I ordered it from DVE Store. We'll see when it shows up. No idea. These ones also super solid. Overkill for me. I don't feel like I need what these provide. I don't have enough 4K stuff in here. I don't plan on going up to 4K, like 4K high frame rate workflows anytime soon. And yeah, I guess that's really it. I have the previous version of the HyperDeck Mini, so I want to use them mostly for playback. Can I bring up one live and play the video at the same time with the Stream Deck? And bring one up live and play the video at the same time. Bring one up on the program output. Yeah, totally. So because you have 2 different ways to do it with the Stream Deck, and because it is a HyperDeck and the ATEM knows how to talk to HyperDecks, you do have 2 options for it. So in one option, you can, let me go see if I have it. Let's see if it's connected today. It is not. I hope the new ones don't have this problem, but this is the problem that I keep having with it, where it just disconnects. It just forgets that it's there on the network, and no amount of fiddling with, see, it's like, oh, it's not there. No amount of fiddling with this is gonna solve it. I almost guarantee you. We'll see if I'm wrong today. And no, it's not connecting, so I need to go and power it down. So thankfully I have it on a smart switch, so I can just do that. I can just do that remotely. Where is it? Power down, turn it back on, and then it should connect in a second. So, because I want to show you what to do in the interface here. Okay. Oh, thanks, Doodle Moodle. How to make live cameras shake effect in ATEM Mini when I stream the camera on the broadcast is static. Oh, that's a fun challenge. We might have to try that. I'm going to get back to that one in a second. I like that idea. Okay, but I do want to talk about this HyperDeck issue. So you can see that after it rebooted, it is now connected, which is just wonderful. What I can do is, now that it's connected, now that the ATEM software and the ATEM knows about that one, it thinks it's plugged into input 4, which it's not actually, but it doesn't matter for the purposes of this demo. What I can do now is I can say, let's see. Oh wait, no, go back to that setting. Auto roll. That's the checkbox. So if you check that auto roll button, what that means is that if the ATEM switches to input 4, the ATEM will tell the HyperDeck to play. So what you can do is, in Companion, you can go make a button that says cue clip and play, and then you can say HyperDeck load, go to clip name. So you can say, okay, we're going to load the stinger, and then that's going to, now if I press that, it's going to load that clip, and then we want to, instead of sending a play command to the HyperDeck, we're going to send a command to the ATEM. Oh my gosh, I can't type. We're going to say, let's see, input on program on the extreme, which is going to be input 4, which is where it thinks that's plugged in. And maybe I should do that just to show. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to reroute my input 4 gets the HyperDeck fill. Okay, so actually I can show you the multi-view of my ATEM Extreme right now. Because I'm streaming from the web presenter, I can now show you my multi-view. So what we're looking at now is, you can see input 4 has the HyperDeck clip, which is, right now it's showing the countdown, but this is going to change the clip that's loaded. So, and then switch to input 4, and then it's going to change the program output on the ATEM to input 4, which will then start playing the clip. So because you're looking at my multi-view, we can actually do this. Keep an eye up on the top right corner, which is my program out of the ATEM. And I'm going to go press that button on my Stream Deck. And sure enough, it played the stinger. It loaded the stinger, hit play, and then went to that program. So there was another question very closely related to this that I saw. So let me go back to the beginning from Rick. The chat is not in the right spot because the chat's being done in the ATEM, not in the web presenter, of course. Rick says, in a recent live stream, you spoke about using the HyperDeck with stinger transitions. How do you get the timing correct to go from the HyperDeck preview to program and back? So yeah, if you notice, what we did is we ran that clip, but now we need to go back to something, right? We need to go back after that clip is done. So actually, and in reality, I wouldn't for a stinger, I would not set the input on program. That's just if you're going to be playing back like actual videos. So if you're trying to do an actual stinger, then you want to, there's a few more steps. And I'm trying to think, this might be more trouble than I can set up right now, just off on the fly like this. But the main idea is you would use a downstream key instead of, we can get it right. We can do it. Okay, so I don't know if you can see my computer screen. It's really small on that multi-view now. Here, I'll put it on program so it's at least a little bigger. You can see downstream key 2 is on right now because that's doing the chat overlay and I don't want to touch that. But I can mess with downstream key 1 because I'm not using it right now. So what I'm going to do is, oh, it's already there. Key 1 is now the HyperDeck, and I am going to leave it on single channel mode because I don't have dual channels going to it. But if I go back and play, yeah, so you can see the HyperDeck is in input 4, downstream key is in input 4, which means if I put this on air, it's going to overlay the countdown clock. Cool. That's something. So what we're going to do is we are going to change the, we're gonna set up this whole stinger. So we're gonna say, go to the stinger clip. We're gonna say downstream key on air is key 1, yep, which is on input 4. Assuming this is already configured, which, you know, do that however you want, whether it's in the macro or just in your config. And then now when I run this, what it's going to do is going to turn that key on air. And because the stinger clip will be queued, it's going to run it. And it's going to stay on my computer screen on that screen, so on program. So when I press this, okay, it ran the stinger. You notice that it also flickered the countdown from the previous clip because it takes a second to load the clip. So we probably want to add like a 50 millisecond delay. We'll see if that helps. Let me go back manually and just navigate back to the countdown. Oh, that wasn't the countdown, but that's fine. We're going to press Q clip and play. Okay, that got rid of the flicker. That's progress. Now, ideally, we want to switch to some other camera after the stinger is done. And this is where it gets tricky. So we need to know exactly how long the stinger is. We need to know how long that clip actually is. And I don't remember if I have it on my computer. I do, but actually it might be easier to look at where I'm at on the HyperDeck jog. Yeah, okay, so if I back up a few frames, it is out of the scene at 1 second and 6 frames. So I'm at 30 frames a second. So at 36 frame, or at, sorry, I need to do the, because I have to give it in milliseconds. 30 frames a second is 33 milliseconds per frame. And I have 6 frames. So I need to add 200 milliseconds plus a second to let that stinger run. So I'm going to go add a, oh no, we need to cut it in the middle because it's a stinger. So in the middle where the stinger completely covers the picture, which it doesn't, oh yeah, this is my draft. This is we're gonna have to fake it by doing a wipe. I'll just do a cut for illustration purposes. So when it's right in the middle, that's at 18 frames. So 33 times 18. So at 600 milliseconds, we're going to change what's on the air. And we're going to do relative delays now. So program, after another 600 milliseconds, we're going to say it's, oh, that's the wrong ATEM. Program, after 600 milliseconds, it's going to go back to the camera. So if I back up out of that, we're on the computer. We're going to hit the button, hit this button on the Stream Deck, which will queue up the stinger, turn on the key on air, and then wait for halfway through the clip to switch the program. Let's see if this works. The stinger didn't run. Why did that stinger not run? Oops. Try that again. Nope. What's going on? There's the stinger. Go. Oh, come on. Oh, it's because the key is already on air, so it's not sending the trigger. So that brings me to key on air. After 2 seconds, we're going to turn it off. Okay. So if I go back to here, turn it off, then when the key comes on air, it will tell the HyperDeck to run. Here we go. Pretty good. That worked. And then if we go back and look at the ATEM, it is off the air after 2 seconds. So basically the answer is you have to know to the frame what your how long your stingers are and do the timing do the timings that way. Back to the program on the web presenter. Hopefully that was a useful demo. And maybe I should have recorded that one so I can post that separately. We need Blackmagic to enable the sting button. I'm really curious what it's going to do when they enable that button. Okay, any other questions about that? Were there any questions about that Stinger demo? No. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at, make sure you mention my name or the word question at the beginning. Otherwise, I'm not going to see the message at this point. Cool. Okay, I wanted to go back to that super chat because that was a cool idea. And I think we can do it. So let's try. This will be fun. This might be a bit of a sidetrack, but let's give it a shot. Okay, so how do we make a live camera shake effect in the ATEM Mini when I make the stream? The camera on the broadcast is static. So I've got my face here, the shot is static, and you want to go like that and wiggle around like an earthquake or like, you know, boom or whatever. So what we're gonna do is go back to let's see, go back to the multi-view so you can see. Is that enough? No, I want you to see my computer screen bigger for this. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the other ATEM, which means we're going to show you this. So I've got another ATEM on the network. You can see its multi-view is down at the bottom, and I've got my camera routed there as well. And now you can also see my computer screen. So this is a little bit small. This is a great example of when I would actually benefit from 4K. So that I could send you higher res versions of my screen and all that, which is cool. But this is, yeah, this would be good use of 4K, but I am not in the mood to spend all the money that it would take to upgrade to 4K right now. It would be a lot. So maybe I can figure out a plan to do it piece by piece. Anyway, what we're gonna do is show how to make a shake effect on the ATEM Mini. Should I record this? I should record this. Okay, what we're gonna do is try to make a shake effect with the ATEM Mini so that this camera angle that you're seeing wiggles around. I think we can do it using a macro. That's my plan. I have not prepped this ahead of time. We're gonna do this live. You can see my computer and you can see the multi-view of the ATEM that we're gonna be messing with. So first thing I'm going to do is sort of explain my thought about how to do this. And to do that, what we're going to be doing is using the upstream key. The reason for the upstream key, specifically the DVE tab, is because this is the one in the ATEM software that lets you move video around. So let me get rid of, no, I don't have any other graphics in there. Okay, we're going to go set program and preview to black so you don't see anything in the multi-view. What I want to do is enable this upstream key, and you can see that I'm up in the corner now of the program. This is the one, this DVE is the one where you can actually move video clips around and resize them. So my thought is if we have the video that is, we'll get rid of that border. If we have video that's full size, and if it was in the middle, X and Y are 0, this looks like it's not using the upstream key, right? It looks like the regular video. So there's upstream key is off, upstream key is on, and it looks normal. So my thought is, let's make a macro to very quickly adjust the left and right positions like that. And then that will sort of look like it's shaking. And we'll keep the video the same size. We don't want to zoom in and out because that would look wrong. We just want to shake it. So that is the plan. And let's see, we want this effect to last, let's say, half a second, right? It's just gonna be like a quick, like, we need a sound effect to go with it too, but I can't do that right now. It's just gonna be like, boom, crash, and then the camera shakes. So where are we going to start? Yeah, we're going to record a macro. So we're going to go in here. We're going to create a new macro called camera shake and then hit record. And now anything I do in this software will be recorded into this macro. So I have to be very, very careful about what I touch because I don't want to add extra things into it. I do, however, want to make sure that the upstream key is set to DVE. So I'm going to click off of that tab and click back into it. I'm going to click on this to make sure it's set to the main camera. And I'm going to press into each of these fields and press enter. And to set them to the default values, I'm going to turn on and off the mask, turn on and off the shadow, turn on and off the border. And now we're set to this scene. So if I stop recording the macro right now and run this macro, we will restore this that we're seeing right now. So now what I want to do is, the other thing about macros is that everything you record in them, it tries to sort of do them all at the same time. It doesn't actually do them at the same time, but it does them as close as it can to the same time. So if you, for example, say set position to 0, set position to 1, basically you will never see the position at 0 because it just sort of skips to the position 1. So if you want to actually have the macro last a long time and actually change the same value multiple times, you have to add pauses. So we can go click this add pause now that we've got the scene in the right spot. And we're going to add a pause of 2 frames. Add a pause. Now that's written into the macro. So now if I change the position, it's going to wait 2 frames and then move it. So I'm going to change the position. Oh, Lynn, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate the super chat. Join the club. I got an extreme ISO for my 40th birthday. Thanks so much for the awesome content. Cannot wait to use Supersource. Supersource is the best. This is what I'm using to make this layout right now. You will not regret the ability to use Supersource. Okay, back to the demo. So we're going to move the position slightly. And I don't know exactly how much. Let's see what looks reasonable. Let's go 0.4 that way. And then let's go on the y-axis 0.4 also. Okay, so notice how even though I was dragging it and it changed multiple times, all that's going to be written into the macro is this value now that it's the last value. So if we want to change it again, we have to add another pause. We're going to add another 2 frames and then do it again. We're going to go back to, let's say, now I can start typing in numbers. 0.1, 0.2, and then add another 2 frame pause. And now we can go, let's go negative 0.1 on the X, and we're going to go positive 0.2 on the Y. Add another 2 frame pause. What are we at? 2, 4, 6, 8. We have to get to 15. So I need to do this again. We're going to change that to negative 3. We're going to change that to 0. We need to do 3 more. So we'll go back to negative 1. And then over on Y, we're going to go to negative 0.2. Add another 2 frames. 2 more left. Let's go back to 0.3. Let's go to Y is 0.2. Add another pause. There it is. Position, let's go to let's go back to the middle because we have to get back to the center soon. So we're gonna go to 1 and negative 0.2, add another 2 frames, and then set it to 0. This is going to be a shockingly cool effect. I agree. Thanks for the super chat. If this works, I might have to add this to my super chat animation. And then that's written, so I don't need to pause again. So I can stop recording. There's the camera shake. And let's find out if it works. So what I'm going to do is let's get out of multi-view on the screen so I can output the program there. Okay. So you can see my computer up here still. And then I'm going to change, let's get rid of the upstream key and then switch to the camera. So this is what you would be normally looking at, is you're on the input 1 with the camera effect, or with the camera and on input 1, upstream key is not on. Maybe you were using it for something else, like you were using it for a Luma key or a chroma key for a whatever, and you're ready to do the camera shake effect. So when I press that button, let's see what happens. Oh, that was disappointing. None of that worked. Oh, guess what action I forgot to write into the macro? I forgot to write the action to bring the key on air. So here's how we can not have to do all that again. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as camera shake, and we're going to only save the macros because I don't care about anything else right now. And this is now, you know what? I think I need to show my computer screen larger for this one. So we're going to go into this mode for now. So I have the XML file saved, and it is called camera shake. Here it is. So this looks scary, but it's not that bad. Most of this we don't care about because most of this is macros that we're not using. But I can look for camera shake, and here is the macro we created. So if we look at what's in this, we said set the key type to DVE, set the camera to 1, and then here's our positions, right? And then there's the macro sleeps in here. There's the different adjustments and with sleeps in between them all. Great. The thing we did not include in here is actually turning the key on. So we have to figure out how to do that. And sometimes I have another macro I've created earlier that I can copy from, but I don't think I have any use the upstream key in here. So, and I don't remember what the syntax is. So the easiest way to get around that is to go back to the ATEM software control, record a new macro, and we're going to call it enable usk and record just that button press. I just need to know what that is in the XML. Now we've got a new macro for that, which is not helpful, but I'm going to save this out. It's going to make a new XML file. And if we go look, here's the new XML file. And then if we go to the bottom, that's what I need. So key on air. I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to put it right here. Why right there? Because these are all the settings. So we've set up our key, set the position, set the mask and all that, turn it on. We're going to turn it on and then wait 2 frames and then do the shake. And then actually we're going to turn it off at the end, which will be helpful. So I'll just change that to false, save that. Now what file am I editing? 104652. So now what I can do is I can go back into the ATEM software control, go to restore, and 104652, restore it. Apparently it had everything in it. That was my mistake. I should have saved only the macros. We're going to only restore the macros. And now this should have the correct macro with the shake effect in it. So now we can go back to this view. So you can see the ATEM down. I can't point to it because I'm in both shots. Oh, here we go. This one, the one that my hand's in. That is the one that should shake. Here we go. Ready? Oh, wait, turn this off. Okay, let's see if this works. Ha! Look at that. I love it. It was about the right length too. A little half-second animation. Boom. Should we look at that full screen? This is the program feed from the other ATEM. Boom. Yeah, now I just need sound effects to go with it. I love it. Okay, that was fun. Thanks for the idea. I can make this macro code available to you. Like I could save the XML for you if you want, but honestly, it's probably better if you recreate it yourself just to be able to get an idea of how to actually create these and how to troubleshoot them. Like the problem that I ran into of forgetting to put one of the actions in the macro, and it didn't even take that long. So I will link to this in the description so that you can save this XML if you do care about it. But otherwise, thanks. That was a fun question. Okay. Scrolling back through the comments, because I did not look at the chat while that was happening. I'm going to post that as a video by itself. Oh, here's a good point. If you zoom in a little, you won't get any black edges showing when you change DVE. That is true. That is very true. I could have done that. Probably should have done that. Good point. Next time. Does the macro language support iterative conditional looping statements? No, not at all. It is just the sequence of commands. There's no, it's not programming at all. What else? Can you make a Ken Burns animation with the upstream key. Totally. Same idea. So actually, you can probably get away with even less macro fiddling because you can do it with the flying or the keyframes. So maybe we'll do this one next week, but the because you can set keyframes for positions and then tell it to run to those keyframes, you can say like spend 10 seconds going from this layout to this layout. And then it will do it nice and smoothly instead of you having to write each frame of the macro in. So you can totally do that. It's a good demo for next week. If you remind me next week, maybe we will actually be able to do it. Next week, you'll need to ask how many people use cam shakes in their live streams. Okay. Yep. Why is your data fluctuating so much looking at the web presenter? Because when I'm on this kind of scene, it doesn't fluctuate very much at all. It's at 6 megabits a second right now. If I cut to, let me get out of my HyperDeck. I want that camera back. Where was it? Didn't label these very well. I think it's this one. Yeah. Nope. Is it this one? Yes. So if you look at the bitrate here, when I'm in a shot like this where it's a camera feed, it's usually around 6. But if I switch to a Supersource layout, like this one, then, well, now you can't see it. Let's see if I can put that camera back in the Supersource window. If I show you Supersource box 2 instead of computer, I want it to show you the desk. Yeah. So you can kind of see it now. It's down to 4 because of the border. There's all this not changing graphics around, and that's a lot easier for the encoder to encode because it is variable bitrate encoder. So because that part of the picture is not changing, it will stop wasting data encoding the unchanging parts of the picture. I'm moving my hands around, so it's going back up to 6. And if I stop doing that, it'll probably drop down a bit because less and less of the picture is changing. But it is a variable bitrate encoder, so that is why you end up seeing the errors on YouTube when YouTube's freaking out that you are sending only 1 megabit because you're showing your countdown screen, because the countdown screen is crisp graphics that are not messy camera noise. Is there a way to combine your super chat animation with the camera shake? There is. It's going to take a bit of routing because the super chat animation is happening on the web server that my OBS is playing, and OBS doesn't really know about those events, but my web server knows about the events, and my web server could push a command to companion to tell the ATEM to run that macro. Yes. We'll see if I can rig that up before next week. When you go to 4K, the old HD equipment giveaway stream will be very busy. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. Okay. What's the longest continuous stream you've done with the Blackmagic streaming bridge? I'm looking to transport 24/7 via one. I don't think I've actually done any long ones. I think I've only done these streams on it so far. So, we'll find out. I may try to run a, well, my printers are in another room right now, so I can't really run the 3D printer camera from it at the moment. But I will try to do some stress tests on it because I am curious. But like I said, the problem that I had actually wasn't with it once it was running. It was that if it was like paused for a long time, then it kind of lost its network connection. Okay, I saw some other good chats or questions in here. Regarding your video using a Raspberry Pi 4 as a streaming bridge, you've also used the bridge a few times. Is the Raspberry Pi version still interesting? Answer. Yeah, here's what I would say about that is the streaming bridge is the easiest option to get an ATEM Mini stream into HDMI or SDI. Hands down, easiest, most reliable, best option. If your source is an ATEM Mini Pro or Extreme. If you have anything else as a source, the streaming bridge will not work. It is meant for the ATEM. I still hope they can change that at some point, but I'm not holding out hope for long. It is paired with the ATEMs. Oh, and the web presenter now. So the web presenter can stream to that. So their products can stream to the streaming bridge. The it is, and I would definitely recommend that over the Raspberry Pi if you are streaming from one of their pieces of streaming gear. The Raspberry Pi is a good option if you want to stream to things that are not, stream from things that are not Blackmagic. And I have also done that several times as well over the past year. The YOLO Box stream I did last week from Seattle, the YOLO Box was streaming to the Raspberry Pi at my studio. That worked great. So that was the Raspberry Pi HDMI out that you were seeing on this stream. It was actually the YOLO Box pushing to that Raspberry Pi at my desk here, so that the chat overlays are done at the studio, and then my ATEM was pushing to YouTube. So the YOLO Box was not pushing to YouTube. And I've also done that with the DJI Pocket 2. So that can stream over RTMP now as well. And I've done a stream using that, pushing to the Raspberry Pi as well as the Lightstream Studio workflow that I've been talking about. So both good options. Okay. Questions about the chroma key box in Supersource. Doesn't work. It doesn't work, unfortunately. So the Supersource only accepts camera inputs. It does not accept inputs from the chroma key. So you can't really do it, unfortunately. You'd have to use it. That's actually a great use of a ATEM Mini, original ATEM Mini, is you do your chroma keying there and feed that ATEM Mini out to your Extreme for Supersource, which is another reason that I want the ATEM Nano, because with just two inputs, you can do the green screen over a background, and then you just output that back into something. And then if it was small and cheap, you could totally chain those up. You can overlay a flying key over the Supersource box. Yeah, I mean, you can Supersource ends up appearing equivalent to a camera input in the ATEM, so you can put stuff over it all day long, but you can't put things in the Supersource that are not a camera input. So if you wanted to let's see, if I had this layout, I don't have any source material that is actually green screened. But let me get back to my other ATEM to multi-view again. If I wanted to key out stuff inside one of these boxes, obviously I wouldn't have the border, probably more like this, where I want to then have my head over here keyed out. I could kind of key that green, right? I can't do that with Supersource. I would have to use the key on top of the Supersource. So you can kind of approximate it by using the flying key and all that, right? Because if I turn off my Supersource, I could bring myself back using, let's see, chroma key, my camera on input 1, and okay, but now I'm gonna flying key myself down into the corner, right? So this is not a good green screen, but if I had a proper green screen setup, I can approximate the effect of making myself small on top of a Supersource layout by doing that, but it's not the same as it being inside of the actual Supersource. So depending on what you're trying to do, this may end up working out for you just fine, because it is kind of the same end result. Swag Magazine says, when using the ATEM streaming bridge, it gives a half-second delay to my Extreme from the host's Pro. After a while, grows to 20 to 40 seconds. Oh, that's weird. I haven't seen that one before. What's a while? Are you talking about like an hour or like days? That is super bizarre. Okay, got the Supersource questions. Have you considered making an attachment for the Extreme ISO to support two thin monitors like the Extreme Bay? Oh, interesting idea. The Extreme Bay, two thin monitors. Is that like this one? Yeah, interesting idea. Interesting idea. Although this does look like a pretty solid solution, so I might just say get theirs instead. Once you're starting to put that much weight on things, you kind of need more metal. Interesting idea, though. I'll think about it. Okay, what else? Where was I? Oh my gosh, we're already at the top of the hour, and I did not get to the thing I said I was going to do at the beginning. Maybe we won't then. Lots of good questions coming in today, and lots of fun demos. I like the camera shake effect. That was a lot of fun. When recording from extreme to solid state, are you able to specify the format, or is it just preset MP4? Recording straight to HyperDeck look better? Recording to the HyperDeck will always look better because you can record in ProRes. The Extreme will always record H.264. You can choose the bitrate to record at up to 70 megabits, but you can't record ProRes in the ATEM Extreme. So that is another good reason for the base model HyperDeck, because that lets you record ProRes high quality, and it's only $500. Yeah. So the best way would be to have another ATEM Mini outputting to Cam 1 on the Extreme and use it like that. Yeah, so if you very explicitly want to do chroma keying, like if you're trying to chroma key onto a background, for example, if you have like a tropical island background that you want to green screen somebody over on top of and then put that into a Supersource window, you can't really do that in the Extreme ISO itself. I guess technically you could approximate it again by putting the artwork in the background of the Supersource. So like my Supersource artwork, right? If I had a little scene behind me here, it would show through. So you can approximate it, but you're going to have to go through a lot of, it's hacky, right? Because if you wanted to move the layout, if you wanted to change the layout of this, then you would have to change the artwork also. Whereas if it's actually in Supersource, then you're able to move the Supersource window independently of the artwork. So yeah, the sort of right way is to do that chroma keying onto your virtual background in a separate device, feed that over HDMI into the Extreme so that you can use it in Supersource. A while is 5 minutes. Oh, that was regarding that question. That something is definitely wrong. Double check the bit rate that it's streaming at, because I wouldn't think it would see a delay, but like it should just show up as cache full. So that sounds super bizarre. But double check the bit rate, make sure you're streaming at something that your internet can handle. If that doesn't fix it, then that sounds like talk to Blackmagic support. Roland says the flying key overlay looks great. I use it all the time. It's easy to do and use the background as a Supersource. Yeah, like I said, if you can spend the time to set it up, it will work, because again, you put your virtual set in the artwork background of the Supersource. But it is more trouble if you want to change that later, because you have to go back to the artwork, move the artwork, match the upstream key position. It can work, but it would have been nice if you could route, if they had more video buses internally to the Extreme, where you could like do a key, set that as one of the video buses, and then put that into the Extreme, into the Supersource. I guess that's what their larger ones do. The 2ME and the 4ME, that is exactly how those work. So that's why it works with an ATEM Mini, another ATEM Mini. Is the HyperDeck overkill for playout? Only for playout. Looking at QLED for animated stingers, lower thirds, that or playout B. Any recommendations for HDMI? I would say the main benefit that HyperDeck gives you is that it is controllable by the ATEM itself, so the ATEM can tell it to play. Any of these other things, you have to have separate control software to tell them to go. Playout B is what the exception, because it's emulating a HyperDeck, so it's trying to pretend and convince the ATEM that it is a HyperDeck. So that one works the same way. It might be overkill if, like, because yeah, QLab and the other software versions of those are great also. I think it depends on sort of the rest of your workflow and what else is in your ecosystem. Unfortunately, not a clear answer on that. Does the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus record in 4K? Because we have an ATEM Production Studio 4K, and I would recommend a Web Presenter 4K if the recorder does 4K. Yeah, so it does record in 4K, but only certain frame rates. That's why it's not called the 4K. This was a little bit confusing. They call it the HD Plus, but it does support recording in, here we go. So it goes up to 2160 30. It does not do 2160 60. So if you're okay at 30 frames a second, then you can use it to record your 4K on the Plus. A little bit confusing naming there. Okay, so yeah, flying key doesn't work because I'm using A to Z Supersource transitions. Exactly. So if your Supersource scene can be fixed and set, then you can do the sort of hack by putting all your graphics in the background of a Supersource. But if you want to use Supersource transitions, then yeah, you need it to be actually properly inside of that window. Could you route a chroma key input to one of the extremes outputs, then back into the extreme in order to add it to your Supersource layout? Kind of. And I have kind of done that with one, because I often want to get an ISO recording of the Supersource. So when I'm recording an ISO feed, or I'm doing the ISO recording of like a workshop and I'm in Zoom, I need Zoom to show my full camera because I'm sharing slides into Zoom. But I also want to record a Supersource layout of myself like in this layout so that I just get a video with the whole presentation at the end. And for that, I route output 2 back into one of the inputs and then assign output 2 to Supersource. That way, Supersource appears as a camera input and then it's recorded as an ISO feed, which is slightly different than this. The problem is that there's only like one output bus for all the video signal, like the mix. So if you are using an upstream or a chroma key, that's only going to be in your program. So, oh wait, now that I'm saying that out loud, that's not entirely true, because you can see it in your preview window. So if you really wanted to get really hacky, you could do your chroma keying in the preview window, never bring it into program, and then route your preview window over output 2 and send that back into one of the inputs and then put that in a Supersource. That would technically work. That's it's going to be painful because you're forced to do all your keying in the preview window and never touch preview for anything else. So I probably wouldn't recommend it, but it does sound fun. Do you know the best utility to flip a second Mac screen horizontal and vertical for teleprompter? Yeah, the best. I honestly don't know why the Mac doesn't have this built in by now. But the best way to do this is the decimator. So decimator MDHX. Yeah, decimator MDHX is the one that will do your it'll flip and convert HDMI to SDI. It does all these things. It's solid. It works fantastic. Kind of expensive, but yeah, I wish it'd be built into the Mac. I feel like they should just do that. I tried outputting HDMI 2 to a camera input and all I got was a black screen. It should work. I can't actually do that here because of the way my cables are plugged in, but I can route them over through the SDI matrix. We could try it live. I need to figure out a solution. Should we try it? Okay, let's see. What are we trying to do? We're trying to chroma key into a Supersource. I don't have a good chroma key setup here, so we're just going to do it on this background. So Oh, and I can show you my multi-view now because, again, we're routing this all through the web presenter, so you can see all the sources. So let's see. I need to switch up some of my inputs here. I don't need 5 to be the web presenter input. Actually, that's kind of the same thing going on right now, making a loop. So we're gonna change that from web presenter to the ATEM 2. Okay, so this is me unplugging a cable. What's the ATEM Extreme 2 set to? I need this on the monitor. ATEM Extreme 2 is set to multi. Oh, that's what's going to the web presenter. That's not going to work. I have to do it. I can't change what's sent to the web presenter because that will break. The web presenter will not be happy about that. So actually, it may not care because it's the same frame rate. Hold on to your hats. I'm switching the input to the web presenter to the ATEM's input 1. That wasn't bad. A little SDI glitch, and it's back. Okay. So now input 2 is unplugged from everything. Output 2 is unplugged. So output 2 I can see on a monitor here. It's on this one, and this is what we're going to use to create the. We're going to create the chroma key here, and then route that back in. So I'm going to take input 5 and set it to the ATEM's output 2. Okay, so we've got the tunnel vision going on because output 2 is multi-view. That's to be expected. Let me change my label on here so we can see this. The input 5 is now the ATEM HDMI 2. HDMI 2. Okay. So what you're seeing in box 5 on my multi-view is, in fact, the ATEM's HDMI 2 output. So if I go here and change that, output 2, I want to actually have it be the preview, which right now is Supersource. Supersource is on the preview, right? Because you can see on my computer screen it's here. So instead, I want that to be my main camera. No, I want it to be the background. We're going to overlay it on top of what's in the media player. We're going to overlay it on top of, let's give it this one. So I'm going to put that here, media player 1, put that on preview. And now we're going to do our green screen in the preview. So instead of, I think I already have it on upstream key 1, right? Upstream key 1, I don't want flying key anymore. I just want chroma key. And if I put it, instead of on air, if I put it on preview, then we can see it is in fact keying me on top of the graphic. So this is basically what, this is again, a terrible key because I do not have my background set up for chroma keying, but it is working because there's enough green here for it to work. So this is your green screen effect, and I've done it in the preview bus, and then I've sent the preview out over HDMI 2 back into input 5, which means if I go to Supersource on the program, there's my computer screen, but now instead of box 2 being the computer screen, box 2 can be input 5, and now I've got myself keyed out on top of my virtual background in Supersource, which means I can move this around and the key moves with it. And that's what you were trying to do, is you were trying to key out, you're trying to put yourself in front of a virtual background and put yourself in a Supersource window where it's actually a Supersource window, which means your things like your animations work as expected. Cool. That was fun. It worked. It totally works. The reason I say this is not ideal is because my preview bus is now tied up with this. So I can only do one of these, first of all. And if I add anything else to the preview bus accidentally, weird stuff is going to happen, right? So that's not great. And I need to just be aware that my preview bus is being used for this chroma keying. I can really mess it up by setting myself into an infinite loop by routing the Supersource into the preview. This is some effect. Okay. Anyway, how do I get myself out of this? I don't know what's happening in that. I need to undo that before something. How do I get out of this? That's not working. Output 2. I'm gonna go back to the matrix. Give me back the, what was that set to? It was set to the web presenter. Okay. And then output 2 goes back to multi-view, and then we switch the web presenter's input back to input 2. Here's the little SDI glitch again. And we're back to how I want it to be, which means I can go back to program, and we've popped all the way back out of the stack. Whew. Okay, that was fun. This should be a separate video on your channel. See, I don't know if it should, because I don't necessarily think it's a good idea, but it is fun. Thanks. That was, yeah. Graham says, I'm gonna have to watch this whole stream again later this evening to try and take it all in. Some fun demos, worthy of its own clip. If I do it as its own clip, I have to get a proper green screen set up so I can actually demonstrate it with something that looks better than that nonsense. We do need a nano. That would be really useful for stuff like this. It would. Okay, yeah, that was fun. The yeah, it's not an ideal setup, but you did figure out how to do it all in one ATEM. Yeah, okay. Smooth camera shake effect and repetitive. Oh yeah, actually, there's not much to it. So if you do the thing I just said about the setting up that macro, there's an option in macros that lets you loop it. So obviously play with your timing, but when you're playing back macros, there's this button here, which will repeat it. So if you'll probably want to, oh, this isn't where the macro is, the shake macro is. It's on the other ATEM. If you do want to, you probably want to tweak the timing to like maybe give it a pause, steady for a couple of seconds, and then shake again. The easiest way to do that is just going to be to go back to your macro source and then just copy and paste all this nonsense. So just like you can, instead of recording it over and over again, you can just be like copy, paste, 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 paste. And that'll run like 6 times. And you can tweak the timings in there so that it's not the same, shake every time. And then you can loop this infinitely so that it's just always happening. Totally doable. New category, fun but not recommended. Yeah. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Rick. Thanks for being so flexible and creative. That's why we spend our Sunday mornings with you. I appreciate it. It is fun. Okay. What else? Okay, so I did have something I actually need to do today, and my thought was I was going to do it live so that you can follow along. And we've already gone 1 hour and 20, but I still have to do this. So I think I might still do it anyway. And we're going to just roll with this, I think. So, okay. Let me think. Getting back to, I'm going to record this one too for its own clip, because I do think this will be a good demo. Although it's going to be live. So what I want to do now is I want to set up a companion, a stream deck with companion to manage a live stream for, oh, thanks for the super chat, Christian. Well, while waiting for your membership solution, at some point I will figure out how to do memberships in a way that I want to do. But let me start that over. Okay. Oh, one last question about that last thing. instead of routing the preview like you did, could you connect an HDMI from preview to input 2? Yeah. So sorry, I didn't explain that fully. The reason that I was using my SDI matrix was because all of my HDMI ports are already plugged into the matrix, and it's more work for me to yank them out physically. So it was easier for me to go into the matrix to go and do the routing electronically. If you're doing this from scratch and you're just doing this on your own, then yeah, you would just run a cable from output 2 to input 5 or whatever you want. Totally. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you today, that doesn't work for the intro to the next video. So what I want to show you today is I want to set up Companion and a Stream Deck to be usable by someone running their own stream with as little fuss as possible. So I have to do this today anyway, so I'm going to do this live, and we've got people in the chat. People are going to be asking me questions, so it'll be a fun show. But the overall goal here is I have a separate ATEM Mini Pro ISO over on the table over there, and that is the one that will be running Lily's show later today. She's running a stream, and I normally run her streams, but I can't today because I have an event to go to tonight, and I need to set it up so that she can run it herself. Normally, I'm behind the camera and doing switching and showing comments and stuff for her. That is not possible today, so I'm trying to set it up so that she can use the Stream Deck and just push the buttons for pre-roll, go live, end stream. It is not a very complicated in terms of number of inputs, but I do want it to be just extremely straightforward because this is not, it should just be easy to use. So I'm gonna drop a link to her channel in case you are curious about watching the show tonight. She's actually gonna be talking about, let's see, here's her actual video link. Her video tonight in 5 hours, which means that is my deadline for getting this working, is how I saved $19,000 in 7 months. So breaking down expenses and income and savings and all that. Anyway, the show that she runs is primarily a one-camera show. And, oh, thanks for the super chat. I stopped watching the Flintstones during the time you're on every Sunday. I appreciate it. So, yeah, her show is mainly a one-camera show at her desk, and we do usually show the chat overlay on top, which I think I'm not going to deal with for this show because I don't want her to have to fiddle with 2 computers. She will be showing stuff from an iPad. So her iPad will be showing graphs and things that are, part of what she's talking about. So it's really just a 2-camera show, 2-input show, and we need to set up a couple of scenes. So we need a scene for the main camera. We need a scene for side-by-side, iPad with a camera on the side, and then, of course, the intro and outro. So that's the goal, is we're going to try to set that all up live. I haven't done any of this yet. We're going to go from zero. I've just plugged that in, and it's ready to go. So the extreme, what are the names of these things? The ATEM ISO. The ATEM Mini ISO is over at the table. It looks like this. This is the multi-view from that. I have 2 things plugged in. I've got a camera, and I've got the iPad, which is actually my computer screen right now, but that's going to be where I plug in the iPad. Probably over AirPlay, over Apple TV, just so that there's no wires. So we need to set that up. And audio, as far as audio goes, we've got, at that desk, we have a microphone plugged into the Zoom F4. Yeah, this one's the F6. Zoom F4 plugged with an 1/8" cable, audio cable going into the input 1. Mic 2 is music. So I've got a little music player over there as well. And that is showing you can see levels on it because that's got music playing right now. So this is the ATEM over there, got 2 things plugged in. Music is playing into input 2, which is on air, and that's what you're seeing the audio levels from. I do have a microphone plugged in, but it's not this microphone, so that's why the levels aren't really showing up in there, but we're going to pretend like that's live. Okay, so the rough plan is I need a button for pre-show, the scene of the like splash graphic. I need a button to bring her on air and switch audio from the music to the program audio. I need a button which will configure the side-by-side layout of the iPad with the iPad with the video next to it. And it just occurred to me that I actually do need the actual iPad rather than not my computer screen because of the crop issue on iPads. No, I don't, because iPad, when it plays photos from the camera roll, it is full HDMI. Okay, it is full 1920 by 1080. And then the other scene would be a cut to the outro, which should cue music again as well, and then ending the stream. So basically, it's just a handful of buttons to create. And the so we're gonna go from 0. We've got let me go to this angle. Up on the top, I've got my computer where I'm configuring companion. This is the companion that's going to be controlling that ATEM. It actually is hooked up to it right now. It is talking to that ATEM so we can test things out. That ATEM has 2 inputs, which are not the real inputs, but they are simulating close enough the inputs that will be live. So it's showing myself instead of her set, but I'm going to move us back to that set later. So things to think about. We are thinking about usability of the buttons. I want to make sure that for example, the stop end stream button that's going to actually cut the video is not too easy to accidentally press. We probably want to group the start stream and stop stream buttons. I don't think I want to use a toggle on companion for that because I don't trust, or there's no way to get feedback actually, because no, we're getting streaming feedback from the ATEM. I still think I want a separate button for start and stop just so that there's no potential for glitches. And then our scenes probably going to be on the bottom row because those are the buttons closest to you when you're sitting in front of it. So we're going to put our scene buttons down there. And I think that's about it for the summary. So let's go ahead and actually make the first button. Let's start up at the top left, and let's say that is the one that's going to actually do the on air. Come back to the name of that, actually. Now that I'm second guessing that name. So on air, and we're going to make this button do, what is it called? Start or stop streaming. It's going to start. And actually start the stream. We're going to make an off air button, or maybe we'll call it end stream. And we're going to say start or stop streaming off. Okay, so we're going to call this one start stream. And then let's change the colors of these. So let's make this one green. Ooh, should it be green? I feel like it should be green. In the chat, let me know what colors you make these buttons. Because I'm actually, these are easy to change. We can think about this. My thought is, stop is red. I know that's not like technically the broadcast colors. Usually broadcast colors are red means on air. But I feel like this makes more sense. Let's use a slightly darker red and then make the text white. Okay. So we've got start stream, end stream. I want those buttons called out very loud so that she knows that they are going to do drastic things. The scene sound at the bottom, let's set these up, just the buttons without any actions on them. This will be the, let's call it the main camera. This one will be the button for iPad with camera. So we'll call it iPad with camera. And I guess those are really the two scenes. I don't think we need one that's iPad by itself, because we're going to crop the camera anyway, so the iPad will still be pretty large in the scene. And I think, yeah, and then we need the buttons for pre-roll, start show, and outro, which will do the audio and music configuration. Roland says on air is red, green means standby. best to encourage her to get used to that. See, that does make sense if it's okay, here's what we can do. We can make the feedback of this match that state. So let's set the background to black first, but then the feedback on this button will be changed from streaming status. And when it is streaming, then the background will be red, and that'll more accurately reflect that. So this will turn red when it is streaming. What is this actually streaming to? So because I do actually want to be able to, oh, that's streaming to this show. That's not good. I want to stream to something that I can, where can I stream to that I don't care about right now? My printer. That's what I can do. Okay. So now I can start and stop streaming on this thing without worrying about it. So if I start the stream right now, test, then the button turns red because it is streaming. And then I can press end stream and the button turns black again. So I feel like that's close. I don't necessarily think that we need to match like broadcast standards exactly. I agree for anyone who isn't used to standard broadcast highlight colors. I agree that green for start and red for stop make the most sense. Don't you also want feedback if the stream has failed to start? Yes. Let's add that to the start stream button. So let's add feedback. What other feedback is there? Change from streaming status, idle, connecting, streaming, and stopping. So we don't really get an error. This will not turn red if it's not actually streaming. So let's make this one, when it's connecting, change to, oh, this is great. I didn't realize you can change the text now. So we can say connecting, and then when it is actually, when it is actually streaming, then we're going to say, then we're going to say the text then says streaming. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. Start stream, connecting, streaming. This one turns red because I want to draw attention to that as like, this is what you pressed to end the stream. Test action, and that then ends the stream, and that turns back to green. Okay, I like that. Cool. So start and end buttons are fine. This thing is actually streaming somewhere. I think it's streaming to my printer. So if you want to, oh, it's offline. Great. Fine. Okay. Camera angles, and then our show macros. So this one's going to be Preroll. Is that a good name for that? I think that's a good name for it. And this will be start show, and then this will be, let's call it outro. And then we'll need to find good colors for these two. Roland says the state transition color is a good compromise. Thanks. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a decent way to handle it. So, okay, pre-roll. We need to build a sequence of actions now to set up the show. This one is, well, now I'm reconsidering my row approach. My thought was the top one is the stream controls, the middle is the sort of scene or show in-out row, and the bottom is the actual during the show. But that does mean that you're pushing these buttons not in order. Whereas like, because this is the button that you're going to push first before you start the stream, right? You want to get into the pre-roll scene before you start the stream. So I think I may have to just explain that. We can move the buttons around if we do want to later. So what I want to do now, pre-roll is going to load the graphic and mute the microphone and turn on the music. Those are the three things. So in the graphics, in the media pool, I've got, I'm in the wrong ATEM. Let me go over to my ISO. So in the media pool, I've got the live stream will begin soon. It's kind of hard to see. And then I've got one with just ohmydollar.com at the bottom. And I also have this corner bug, which we can also use the downstream key for that. So I'm going to load. Let's go back to companion. I'm going to say media, change media player source. Media player 1 gets full screen title. Yes, that's that starting soon. I should have named those files better. Sorry. And then we're going to say audio. No, what is it called? Fairlight audio. These names are so confusing. Fairlight audio input mix option. Main camera off. Input mix. And then or not main camera, we're actually on analog mic. So mic off, mic 2 is on, and I should probably set the gain or the level on that as well. So mic 2, we're going to set it to, looks like we don't want the music blasting, so let's set it to -6. So that's going to be audio, set Fairlight audio, fader gain. Oh my God, I forget which one is which. Yes, this is the fader, that's the input. Okay, so fader goes to -6, and that is for the microphone to music. Okay. And the okay, that's the pre-show. So if we do that, we should media player. I need to bring media player on air. So program, set input on program to media player, and doesn't really need to be up at the top, but I want to do it anyway, just so that I don't forget that it's there. Set media player, bring it on air. Okay, now we run this. Okay, live stream will begin soon. The microphone is set right. Input 1 mic is off. Great. And now we're ready to start the show. So starting the show is we're going to change what's on. Or let's do a fade actually. So we can do preview. Set input on preview to the main camera, and then transition. Hit the transition, so that should cue the camera and then fade to it. Should we double check that we're in change the transition style to mix? Let's do that. And then we'll add a slight delay here just to give it a chance to do that. So this should now cut the camera. Yeah, great. And then audio. So we need to fix the audio. So input mix. We're going to fade the music out. Thankfully, Companion has a fade out. Oh, yeah. So what was it called? Input fader. There we go. Set audio fader gain on the input 2, which is the music. Oh, no. Where's the... Oh, I mixed them up. Here. Set audio fader gain mic 2 to 0 over the course of 2 seconds. That's what I want to do. And then after 2 seconds, we can turn mic 2 off entirely. And then we need to bring up the camera or the microphone audio. So we're going to do the reverse. We're going to do mix option on mic 1 is on. We want to start it at 0. So fader gain input 1 is 0. And then we want to fade up. Oh, no, sorry. -100. Set it to off. And then over half a second, we're going to bring it to 0. Input mic 1, mic 1. No, not delay. fade over 500. Did I get that right? Okay, is everything in here right? Yes. So what we can do is we're gonna have to look at the audio meters because I don't have any audio actually routed into that to listen to. But here's what it's looking like here. Let's see, can I just move this off to the side and then give myself this button? Okay, so yeah, we can watch, see if it does that. So we're in the pre-roll, music is playing, the microphone is set to some random value, and then we are going to start the show, which should fade the music out, set the mic to 0, and then fade up the mic over half a second. Music went the wrong way. The music is mic 2. It needs to fade out to a negative 100. Okay, try it again. Pre-roll, switch back, music is playing, start the show, and the music fades out and the microphone is on. Okay, that is working. And that's great. That works. And now the outros. The outro will be similar to start the show, but then reversed. Should I just copy this? I think I actually should. So I'm going to copy start show to that, and then we're going to go into here and say outro, and then we're going to change what's doing what. So video preview gets the media player. I'll change the media in a second. Hit the fade, and then mic 2 is the music. So, or mic 1 is the dialogue. So we want to fade mic 1 down over 2 seconds, and then turn it off. And then we're going to turn on the music. We're going to start the music at negative 100 or infinity, and then fade the music up over half a second. So we've just flipped them around. And now I can go back and add the set the media player source to the end screen instead of the starting soon screen. And just for fun, I'm moving that to the top. Okay. So let's test that button out. Outro, test action. That worked. The music is now playing and the microphone is off. So I think those all work. So let's take a look at the chat. What are people saying in the chat? Will Lily have a monitor to see the ATEM's multi-view? If so, she should be able to see the on-air status flashing if there's a connection issue. Great point. Yes, that multi-view will be there on the desk. I often use a separate page and companion for each stage of the show. That makes sense. I feel like that's better for someone who is more interested in having more control over the stream. I think I want to stick with one page. Put the pre-roll in the top right and go down like running order. So the running order is pre-roll, start stream, start show, and then switch between these two scenes, and then outro, and then end stream. So should I do running order? I feel like maybe we can cluster these a little differently. Let's see. Pre-roll, start stream, start show. I like that sequence. So let's move start stream here. Let's move pre-roll here, and let's move start show there. Outro and end stream. This is the one that's, I don't want anybody to be able to accidentally press end stream. So maybe the second row for those. And then, because these are the main ones that she does want to switch back and forth. So I want to make them easy to access and not slip and bump another button. Any other suggestions here? Okay, so, oh, there's quite the discussion happening in the chat. maybe this order makes more sense. So let's see, pre-roll, start stream, it is on air, start the show, I come on air, audio changes, music fades out, and then we switch between the main camera and the iPad with the camera, and then eventually, ready to end the show, we do outro first, and then actually end the stream. The other part of this is that YouTube has to be set to auto start and auto stop. Otherwise, you have to go into the studio website to start the stream, which is too much hassle. So we're not going to make it do that. Definitely move end stream out of the way, bottom left. See, my thought about bottom left is that that's the closest button because it's right up in the front. Move the end to the far right top away from the start. Why not build stop stream into outro after a delay? That is an interesting point. The only reason would be to be able to do something after the outro before ending the stream, which there really isn't much of a reason to do anything like that. Maybe you're right. Maybe we collapse these into one button and then put them in the top right corner. I think we're going to do that. That's a good idea. So the only danger with putting the buttons in order is will she get confused by the streaming button still being lit when she presses start show? Yeah, I don't know. But let's squash the outro and the end stream buttons together. I think that's a good one. So we're going to do, let's see, which one has more actions? This one has a bunch of actions. So what we're going to do is let's do this in a sneaky way. Let's move this to a different page and then click that button. So I'm going to keep that button by itself, move end stream to page 5, and it's 5.5. And then this one, I'm going to add an action called button press and release, which is page 5, button 5. And that's going to happen after a while because we want to let the music fade out and play for a while. So let's do it after like 15 seconds. And then we call this end stream, and we make this one have the feedback of streaming status. When it is streaming, the background is red, and then we move it to the top right corner. Okay, fewer buttons. That's good. We're making progress. So let's run through this again. We've got pre-roll, start the stream. I do think I want a start button still separately from pre-roll. And then it got a little brighter. It says streaming. That's red. Start the show. Brings me on air. And then switch camera angles, which we still set those up. I haven't done that yet. End stream will now bring the music back in. We're still streaming. Plays for 15 seconds. Just give the end of the stream nicer ending. And it should stop streaming in a couple of seconds. And there it goes. Okay, that works. It would be nice between the cam buttons are on line where when the show is rolling. So you agree that the bottom right corner is not a good place to put something that stops the stream, like the fade to black button. Yes. I agree that the bottom right corner is not a good place for the fade to black button. Yes, nice one. Okay. I'm pretty happy with those buttons, I think. We'll see if anybody has strong opinions about those. In the meantime, we need to make these buttons do things now. So let's hit the start show button to get into the regular show. And now we need to make these ones do something. So, okay. This one, we're going to do cuts because I feel like that's nicer when you're switching back and forth more often. So we're going to just say program is the main camera. That's an easy button. Immediate cut. This one is the complicated one. So the this one we need to set up there's no Supersource in the ISO, so we have to set up a upstream key. And how do we do this? We have, oh right, I'm so used to being able to do Supersource layouts where I want to shrink the iPad and then put the person also shrunk and cropped next to them. We can't do that, so we're going to program input is the iPad. And then we're going to do a small shrunk camera up in the corner. So for that one, we're going to do upstream key. Upstream key is going to be a DVE flying key, or no, positioned and sized. Yeah. So, okay. Actually, you know what? Let's do the DVE and make it a circle. Are there enough buttons in Companion to do this? Let's see. Upstream. There are not enough. There's not enough options to configure the key in Companion, which means we have to do it as a macro. So that's fine. I actually don't mind that. We're gonna make a new macro and we're gonna call it, I might already have one, but I'm gonna do it from scratch anyway. So we're gonna do, way down here, we're gonna say the macro is called iPad with picture in picture. And we're going to go ahead and record that. And now we have to make sure we're very careful about what we press. So we're going to switch upstream key to pattern. We're going to send it to the main camera. We're going to click on the circle. We're going to not invert it. Now we have to actually bring it on air in order to see it. So this is going to be in the wrong order. So I'm going to have to change the macro around after I finish recording. Okay, there is the macro. It is on air, and it is, I'm trying to think of where she is sitting in the scene. I feel like she's not where I am. I think she's a little bit more over that way. And then we're going to use the flying key to shrink it. Oh, I'm going to shrink it and move it to the top right, because I believe in her case, she actually looks more down like that way in her scene. Whereas in mine, it's opposite, so I would do the opposite, but what I should have done is had a video clip of her playing on that input instead of faking it with my video. Yeah, that would have been smart. A little bit late for that. So, okay, we're gonna go a little smaller, make sure that there's nothing covering up the iPad. Gonna go up there and over there. And even though I've been messing and setting a bunch of different values in this macro, it's only gonna save the last one anyway. And then it's done because I already pressed on air, so I just need to move that down lower after I have saved this. Okay, save that macro. We're gonna save this as Lily, and save just the macro, and go into my text editor, find that, and then what did I call it? iPad with picture in picture. And now here is where we're going to move the on-air action down lower. So key on air goes down to the bottom. And I actually want to add a macro sleep in here for 1 frame, because I've found that sometimes if you are changing settings, they go into effect a frame later, but the key is already on the air, so you see a flicker effect. So I'll save that, go back into the ATEM, restore that, and store the macros, and now this should be ready. So now we can go assign that to the companion button. iPad with camera. We're going to delete that because we don't or not doing that in the companion. We're going to run macro, and hopefully it's figured out the new name of it. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to find. No, it's somewhere over here. Which one was it? It was 1, 2, 3 after the enable USK. See if I can find it. So enable USK, 1, 2, 3. It should be that one. Run it, and that should work. So let's test it. Sure enough, and go back to the main camera. Main camera needs to disable the upstream key, set upstream key on air to off. And now I've got my two scenes. Main camera and iPad with camera. Main camera, iPad with camera. That works. Okay. What else in the chat? Any other questions? Maybe mic mute button or be right back, or is that getting too complicated? I think that's getting too complicated. The show is only an hour long, and we have never used a scene, anything like that before. So I don't think we need that. Some more troubleshooting going on in the chat. If you are only using the current page on the Stream Deck, you might want to disable the page navigation. You can also pick up 3 more keys that way. That's an interesting point. I didn't realize you could disable the page navigation. No configuration available for page up buttons. Can I erase it? Oh. That's interesting. Okay. Now if I go to that page on the Stream Deck, I'm stuck. How do I get out? How do I... Maybe I will... I mean, I guess this works. I just don't know how to actually navigate away from this if I'm actually on the Stream Deck. Verify that picture-in-picture is not conflicting with the presentation. Yeah, the thing is, it's going to be a bit of a mess, because the iPad, when it shows pictures out of the HDMI, it will size them to fit. So depending on what you're looking at, like if it's not a full 1080, 1920 by 1080 picture, it'll have bars on the side anyway, if it's trying to scale it down. So that was my thought with putting it up in the top right corner, is that chances are the iPad will be showing the picture in the center of the screen anyway. So it's most likely to not overlap stuff, unless the picture is very close to the aspect ratio of the screen. The button between the arrows still takes you to page 1. Oh, okay. There's no test on this, so I can't simulate it. But that's good to know. Can we try that with the mobile buttons? Will it work here? I don't think it does. Down, down, down. Here we are. Oh, wait, they still navigate. That's interesting. And then that one, I can't click that one on the emulator. Okay. You can create buttons to specific pages, but there's also an option to restore the page buttons. Yeah, okay. To test the button, you can hold down Shift and then click it. Oh, that's a little easier. Yeah, that's a little bit easier than what I was doing before. Thanks. I usually have page 1 on Companion being just buttons to other screens, and every other screen has an index button. That's another good way to do it. Yeah, I've always just used it as sequential pages, not sort of like a nested menu. But for this, I only want one screen anyway. Add recording at ISO. We actually usually do not record locally. It is just a stream. It exists on the internet. We have gigabit internet, so I'm not really worried about the internet disappearing. And if it does, she's going to stop the show anyway, because the whole point is talking with people online. So I think we'll leave that out. Okay, I guess that means we're done. So how do we feel about this? Pre-roll. Oh, I need to go back and add actions to remove the upstream key to all these now. Set upstream key off. So pre-roll, there we go. Start the stream, we'll actually start streaming. Start the show, we'll do that. And end stream, main camera, iPad with camera. I could make one that's iPad only, just in case. Just in case it is covering something up. Let's do that. So let's do regular button, iPad only, and this is going to set the program to the iPad and then set upstream key off. So that way it does that in case she really does want to show full screen without her. So there's 3 scenes, and I think we are, I think we're good. So, okay, this is all set. Last thing to do is I always like to do 2 things when I'm wrapping this up. Let's put it into the pre-roll state, and then I like to do 2 things. 1, save startup state, which saves anything we did, including the media pool as well as the macros. We are using a macro, so we do need to do that. Saves it into the ATEM. I also like to just save out the entire state as an XML file, because then I get it on my computer, which I can always restore into the ATEM later if I want to. And that's about everything. Oh, Christian says, did you disable the upstream key on the outro? Good catch, I did not. So last thing, in case we are on, yeah, that's right. If we are on the iPad with the camera and then press end stream. Yep. Okay, upstream key on air. Set it to off. It'll happen immediately. That's what we want. And now end stream does turn that off. Thank you. Good catch. And now I have to go back and save startup state again, and then save everything again. And I think that's everything. So, yeah, with that, with any luck, this will go well, and I will not be able to watch to find out because I will be busy. But if you do want to see if this works, then here is the link to Lily's live stream where she will actually be doing this live. And yeah, cross your fingers that I didn't mess anything up, because it is 100% my fault if something goes wrong. Did you save a copy of the companion config? I've had companions sometimes lose it saved. I did not. I guess I should do that. And because that is a good idea, although I have not had any trouble with companion. Can you make the XML file available to download? I can package this up. It's a reasonable little kit. So let's go and do both of these things. I'm going to export this page. So this is the Lily 1 screen show, and we're going to put it in that folder with my pile of files, and that's enough to now restore that if I need to. And then the XML file, I'll clean that up and I'll export that as well. There's a bunch of other stuff in there right now, like from the earlier demo of making the shaky camera. So I'll clean that up so that you don't get confused with all that stuff too. Cool. Okay. That was fun. That was a good exercise. That only took 40 minutes or so, and not too bad. Thanks for all the feedback on that. This is the link to the video later today. And do you want some of us to watch our stream tonight so we can try to provide remote tech support this evening if needed? I feel like remote tech support over text on a delay on YouTube is probably not the best. Did you include the streaming key for your channel? I did not. I will just, I'm not going to put that into the scripts. I'm just going to set it up. So when I go back, I'm going to plug it in to the right wires, and that's when I will switch over to that streaming key. I'll hit save startup state in case the power is lost, in case it has to do a power cycle for some reason, but I'm not going to put it into the buttons in Companion. Yeah, streaming destination. I'm going to do that all manually rather than in the buttons. Okay, that was fun. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something about that process today, about how I think about creating buttons for other people. And I think I'm happy with how these buttons turned out in terms of collapsing the outro and the end, actually ending the stream on YouTube into the same button. Color state should hopefully be somewhat useful and not confusing. And the reason these are all on the bottom is because they are the closest buttons to reach. I don't want anybody reaching over the end stream button to change a camera and accidentally ending the stream. Cool. Yeah, I will make this XML available to download after the show, so it'll be in the description of this video. I'm just not going to do that live here because that would not be interesting at all, watching me export the file. So that's about it. I think we are... yeah, I'll also leave a link to Lily's show down below in case you want to watch the recap of that to see how it went if you are watching this in the future. Cool. Thanks for watching. So that is the end of the stream. That was a fun show. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for hanging out. And I'm probably going to publish that as a standalone video too. I'm trying to get in the habit of extracting videos from these live streams into neat little standalone chunks. So thanks for the ride. That was fun. Time to go get out of this hot room and back into the air conditioning, and hopefully have time to set all this up before the 5 o'clock, or before actually I have to leave before 5 o'clock. All right, we're really done now. Thank you all for being here, rolling the credits. Thanks for the super chats. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming here every week and hanging out. It's always a lot of fun. Thanks for the fun ideas about what to do on these streams. Got a couple of fun little live demos in there today, and it was a lot of fun. You will see those as standalone videos, hopefully very soon when I can extract them. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.